Hello, and welcome back to the Nobody Show. So today I wanted to try something a little different than something that I usually do. I mean, obviously, I play games and I do the whole voice stuff that I've started to do that I have yet to continue on. But it definitely takes a while to practice a new voice, and especially when you have such a low audience like I do, to find material that you want to do. Anyway, so for a while, friends and I guess family too, and just some people who have watched the channel have asked me why nobody, like why did you choose to have that as your name? And for a while, I just kind of wanted to do something a little lower key, considering that I still am in school and at college, amongst finding a job and working and writing papers, going to class, and things like that. On the weekends, like the only thing you really want to do is kind of rest, and it's hard to shoot videos when you're in class and stuff during the week. So I figured that I'm like, hey, I listened to quite a few podcasts and a couple shows here and there, and I've wanted to kind of just do one of my own and just describe just different things. That I like, and what is the future of the channel and the things I want to do in the channel, why I chose Nobody, just things like that. So welcome to the first Nobody podcast. Anyway, with that out of the way, I wanted to go over the fact of why Nobody, why did I choose that name, why, what's the significance of, is this something you just came up with, or is it something of significance? And a while back, as some of you know, I used to actually make music in my free time, and for a while I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what name I wanted. I should put that, not what I wanted to do, but I didn't know what name that I wanted. I always thought the name kind of solidifies the personality, like what. For example, Ice Cube, that's kind of more of a thug name that gave him that persona. Eminem, Drake, these different things. It gives that personality a label. It gives it a face, and it kind of puts a tone to who that person is. And I didn't know what I wanted to be for a while. When I first started out, I just was just going to go by my last name, and I'm like, no, that's kind of a little tacky. It's not really much, and plus if this was thinking way in the long run, and a kid with big dreams, but I was like, if I ever got to such a high level, I didn't want people to know who I was, and wanted to keep personal life and other life separate, and it's just a huge ordeal. But and then for a while, I struggled with a few different names. I thought of the whole Eminem Slim Shady persona, and I was like, oh, I can totally do that. And it was just a giant fail. And I also toyed with just this one. It was just called being just anonymous. Like, I'm like, that's kind of a cool name, anonymous. Doesn't really solidify who you are. Just kind of some person, whatever. And for a while, I'm like, anonymous. I'm like, that's just too long. Like, and it just sounds kind of stupid. Like, it sounds cool in a context, but not really. Like, I don't know. So I just kept going with this struggle of what name do I want, and what kind of music do I like to put out. And I found that a lot of the things that I was putting out, a lot of the things that I liked, that I did well, were either things that were for fun or things that were going on in my life, that tracks that foretold the things that were going wrong with me, and what was on my mind and my chest, and having it be an out, so to speak, for everything that was going on during the time. And I found that when I wrote about those things and just stuff for fun, that it came out better than if I tried, to be something, or just like, hey, I'm just gonna come up with something, whatever, and I'm gonna, not pretend to be something that I'm not, but write about something I didn't have experience in, was what, even my father told me at one point. And I tend to find, I found those things, great, and that's what I was good at.
So I'm like, okay, well, what's very personal to me then? And I started thinking, and more thinking and thinking, and I finally came up with the term nobody one day. Just kind of hit me. I'm like, well, I like this name Anonymous. I like me as a person, because that's kind of what my music instills, and each track is a story of me. So what's a blend of both? And I'm just like, who I started thinking, I'm like, well, who am I? What do I do? What do I like? Who am I as a person? What significance do I hold, here? And I'm just like, nobody. That's essentially, in all intents and purposes, I'm like, that's what I am. I'm nobody. And that's kind of where it all sparked from. And I don't mean to make it like a depressed thing, like, oh, he just thinks he's a nobody, whatever. No, it's not. It's a part of it, but not all of it. But what I meant by the term nobody was I wanted to be able to change, people's perspective on things. I wanted to brighten people's, how do I put it? Well, I guess brighten people's ideas when they heard, my music, that hey, I went through this too. Like, you're not alone in this. Or, hey, I think these same things, and I'm pretty sure some other people do. Or, hey, I found this to be quite fun, and this song that I liked, and I wanted other people to be like, hey, I kind of find the same things like that. And but what I mean by nobody is that I wanted the persona of nobody to be essentially that, just a nobody. Like, I wanted it to be a label that didn't hold any significance. It sounds funny, but I mean, it also kind of stems from like my love of comic books, like your Batmans and your Spider-Mans, where it's this overall arching thing or person that people hold so powerful and everything. But the whole ideal of it is that anybody could be Batman. That's the whole thing. You don't know who he is. Anyone could be him. Spider-Man, of course, we all know him as Peter Parker, but to the general public, nobody knows who Spider-Man is. Anybody could be Spider-Man. And that's how I wanted the whole nobody notion to go too. That, it's not, me, Chris, just an average guy. I'm not some person that holds a giant artistic, I guess, value in the world. I'm not someone who's super inspirational. I'm not, I'm not an important person. I'm just a guy. I'm just one guy with, I guess, a dream and a few ideas, and I want to put that, to work. So that's what I wanted the nobody, face to be, is just a guy, who can do whatever you want. Like, you don't have to be a somebody to do what you want. You don't have to be a person to be able to create and make things that you like. And you don't have to be someone important to do the things that you love, like make music and act and make a YouTube channel, and just things like that. Like, you don't have to have a special niche. You don't have to be a special type of person. Like, anybody could do that. There's always, somebody's interested in everything. And that's kind of what I wanted it to be. So that's why I chose the term nobody, as a sense of like, hey, anyone can do this. It doesn't, I don't hold anything special. I'm just a nobody. And that's kind of where it all stemmed from. And ever since then, I thought that, oh, it's only going to be for when I make music, or, when I do things like that. But, I got soon enough, I made some music, and I'm taking a little break from it. We'll talk about that later. And, from there, I carried on to different things, like when I did my YouTube channel with Valken95, which is my friend Josh. From there, he's, Valken, I'm nobody. And after that, I kind of got the bug of wanting to do it myself. So I did, and I'm still doing it. And it's been a bit of a struggle as of late, but, still carrying with it. And, just things like that. Oh, hold on a second. I dropped my pen. Sorry about that, guys. Like I said, this is gonna be more of like a laid-back show. So I'm only human. We all make mistakes. But yeah, as I was saying, that's kind of where it all stemmed from, and still carries with me until today. I still have that view of you don't have to have anything special to be able to achieve the things you want to do and do the things that you want. So you can just be you. You don't have to put on a front. Just be who you are. Be that person, and you don't gotta be a certain someone to be able to do what you want in life or achieve your dreams. So, but enough of my repetitiveness about that image. I kind of want to get into the games that I play on my channel, and as well as my channel itself. For those people that do watch here and there, or at least take a glance or who discover it, I know that I don't play many games at the moment. I mean, number one, I'm a broke college kid, so I can't always buy all the games that I want, and I'm not really predominantly PC, so I know Steam has tons of games, and I know I'm not on Steam at the moment, and that it's hard to continue making videos without knowing the schedule that I have here. Granted, I know that I have a calendar filled out with all the assignments that I have due and the days I have class and things like that. But at the same time, I don't know how long each assignment is going to take. I don't know if other things might pop up during that time, or hey, here's a quiz you got to study for, or some other things like that. So it's hard to especially when you're by yourself, to make a video, to shoot it, to put all the parts together, in the program, to edit it all by yourself, to put whatever cuts you want, to render it, after you're done rendering and get it out to YouTube, have YouTube process it, and then once you're finally done, put it on the channel. And all that time, it takes on a good day, if I don't mess up or scrap it all, I would say 3 hours, to be quite honest. It takes about an hour to render it in the program. It takes about a half hour sometimes, depending on how long the video is, to render it in YouTube, to upload it to the channel. It takes me about an hour to hour 20 minutes to edit the video. So it takes a while. And especially when you're doing it all by yourself, it's pretty hard, and it's a long process. So, bear with me. That's why I kind of wanted to do something like this, where it's, not as editor. I don't have to edit it so much. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. But the channel's still going to go strong. It's still going. Like I said, I just got to reach my footing a little bit. And plus, to be quite honest, I kind of got a little bored with playing Black Flag, to be honest with you. So, not saying that I don't like the Assassin's Creed franchise. I mean, I love it to pieces. I got the Assassin's Creed sigil tattooed literally on my back. So it's a part of me, and I've also cosplayed Ezio a number of times. For those people that know me personally, I've done it a handful of times, and it holds a special place in my heart. Just the message of the games and the plot lines of it. I know the plot is, some people think it's a little convoluted, and trust me, it is to a point, but I still love it. I love the characters. I love how they're each different and yet the same at the same time. But just with playing Black Flag, I don't know. I guess I found out two things playing that game. That one, it's not the best for streaming per se, because how do I put this in retrospect? When you watch streamers or you watch people play games, I would, in my opinion, there's two types of games that fit in different categories. There's the multiplayer games, which people stream, which is where you get your Overwatches and your PUBGs and, even like Call of Duties to an extent. I don't even know if people stream that game anymore. Or, all kinds of other multiplayer games of that nature, where it's watching this person perform, how they perform in the game setting that they're playing in, what character they play as, what's their game type. It's always different for each person you watch play. And the reason we like to watch those is because us as an audience plays that same game. So, we're watching these other people, like, how can we get better, or I want to see how, my favorite YouTube personality plays, or things like that, where online games are easy to watch because they have that aspect. Now, on the other hand, there's the story-driven mission type games, where, for me at least, how would I put this? That there's a certain type of game that you can stream and people will watch it because the story is so cohesive and straightforward that it's easy to watch. So when it comes to games like your Grand Theft Auto 5s or your Assassin's Creeds, or hell, even a little back, your Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pains, which is one of my favorite games as of late. With those games, when you stream, you don't want to stream the whole game. You want to stream highlights from that game. Like, oh, this video is about this. So it's boom, 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 highlight here, maybe a little bit of story beats, highlight, because that's what is entertaining for those games. Because when it comes to those, there's just so much in the grand scheme of things that you can watch and you can do. It becomes sort of a chore to not only for the person streaming, but for the fans to watch, because there's just so much you can do and so many things to try to stick to that it's hard to do that in a short amount of videos. For example, like Uncharted. Uncharted games are great when it comes to streaming or even YouTubers, because there's a cohesive story. It's like boom, boom, boom. I'm doing this, mission, conclusion. That's the whole game. You could do that in, a 12 video span if you really wanted to. But when it comes to games like Assassin's Creed, like I was saying, there's just so much you can do that you can get lost so easily in doing different things. And when it comes to watching a video, for example, like some of the games might have missions to the pre-mission or even things you have to do to get to the overall mission. And people don't want to watch that. People just want to watch, what's the story? I want to see it. Let me see what the whole story is and what you have to do for that. But when it comes to games where there's a grand scheme of things, you can get lost in so much that there's just so many things to do. It's why I personally think that when you have a highlight reel of those instead of an overall, playthrough, that it's better to have those highlights. For example, I think that's why my Abzu series was better than my Assassin's Creed series, because where Abzu, it was like that. It was just mission straightforward. I'm doing this. Whereas Assassin's Creed, as I said, there's just so much. That's not to say that I'm not going to take a crack at playing Assassin's Creed Origins on the channel. I might stream that on my channel and play that. I'm still deciding how the game itself is going to turn out. I think might make my decision of it and what I want to do. If not, I might take that more highlight based video formatting that I was talking about rather than just an overall playthrough. But I guess we'll see. But that's kind of how it is in my opinion. So there's also a bunch of things that I wanted to do on the channel. I know that I'm playing games. I know lately I've introduced those voice work things, which I do want to continue to do. I think the next one I want to do is a British accented one. Now, with that, I think I put out 2 short ones just to kind of test the waters and see how they are, and I enjoy doing it. And those minimal reactions that I did get are messages to those that I did put up. People seem to like them. And a few people seem to watch them, so I think that I'm going to do more. On the next one, it's going to be longer. I think just alone itself is going to be the British accented one, and I'm going to read more of different types of things. What I'm going to read, I don't know what yet, but that's what I want to do. A couple of things I want to do too that I've been thinking about for the channel. It's just... There's a lot of stuff. With me, for the people that know me, I'm a very impatient person with a very creative mind, and it sucks because I'm like, I want to do this, and this, and at the same time, I'm like, well, I'm already working on this, so I gotta finish this, but I have 1,000 other ideas coming down the pike that I want to do, and I'm like, oh, I gotta finish this. We'll just scrap that so I can make room for this, and I just want to get everything done now. And that's kind of how I am and where I'm at right now. And I'm working on that and trying to not be so impatient and have more of a slower attitude when it comes to things, and more patience of that when it comes to that nature of making things and creating things. But that doesn't necessarily mean I don't want to create the things that I do when it comes to the things that I do want to create, there's quite a few actually that I want to put on the channel. Like I said, I'm continuing the voice stuff that I want to do with the script readings, and eventually, when I get to a point where I think I'm comfortable, not only with making the characters and voicing different characters that I have, but I want to start writing, pieces, stories and plots and different stuff for these characters, and even make other ones, and put that in a reading where I do, all the voice work for the characters in the story, where I myself have written the plot, and I give, give the environment, a character and a feel, and I make a story throughout, maybe the span of 10 minutes, even 5 minutes. I think 5 minutes is a good range, especially when you're speaking. 5 minutes of video for a character, and each video as it goes on is just furthering the story of this character and doing one at a time. And the character that I've been thinking of, his name is Jesse. I don't have a last name for him yet. I have a few in my head, but not any definitive ones. Anyway, the character that I have in my head, his name is Jesse. He's a detective from the 1950s, and kind of just a general generic cookie cutter detective noir story, to a point. For those people that do know me, I'm in love with, noir 1950 detective stuff. And I have a story in my head that I'd like to tell with Jesse, being the character that Jesse is, that I've created. And I just wanted to tell that. So, not giving away any spoilers of what the story is or what it's about, but that's just a little hint into something that I want to do. So I think that would be cool to be able to do that. And I know that's going to take some time, but eventually I will get to it. Like I said, I want to take my time. And other things I want to do, I've been thinking about doing a movie review part of the channel. I'm in love with movies. I love movies. You could, ask any of my friends and my family. I mean, hell, even my girlfriend. I think she knows the best/worst out of it, because I'm always the one to drag her to go see movies with me. So I love movies. I love going to the movies. The movie going experience for me is just, it's a fun thing. I don't know why. I guess I just enjoy this communal experience of being able to watch, movies with other people, and going to see these different type things. And like personally, it's not one of my favorite genres, but going to see horror movies in a theater for me is one of the best communal experiences I could have in a theater. Because the reason I say that is because watching a comic book movie, that's more personal for me. And maybe I'll get into that in another podcast. But when it comes to watching horror movies, people are just have these raw reactions to watching movies, and it's just so fun to be able to see that and hear that around you as you're watching this movie. Granted, I hate when people talk in theaters, but I mean, when it comes to horror movies, people, are like, oh, don't go in there. Or you hear people like, oh, freaking out, or, things like that. It's just an enjoyable part of the movie going experience for horror movies for me, because it just gives that movie more gravitas and more of a, overall good feeling, because that the movie is doing something right when it's giving these people these scares. So, but anyway, like I'm saying, movie reviews is something that I've dabbled and kind of toyed with in my head. I also kind of dabbled with it, just rehearsing how I would do it, and here on the channel. So that's kind of something I've actually wanted to do here too. I've also wanted to do a top 10 show on here also. Maybe not by myself, but I don't know who I would do it with, so I kind of don't have a choice. But I would like to do it with somebody else if we're given the chance. Basically just kind of creating a top 10 list of just different things that I like, or top 10s about games, in my opinion, like, oh, this is my top 10 about, I don't know, different costumes in this game that I like for this character, or things like that. So I think out of all the ideas coming down the pike so far, that one seems to be like the one that's the front runner that might come first, just because it's so easy to do, especially by myself. But I think tackling the ideas of top 10, movie ideas or different things like that along that nature would be better to do with a person, like a friend or something like that. But when it comes to doing comms, when it comes to doing a top 10 show about like different video game character skins or things like that, I think that it'd be better to do that by myself, and I know I can do that easily. Doing that alone, so that's perfectly fine. So that's kind of where I'm at with that idea. But I mean, we'll see how things progress and how it goes. Later on as the I guess as the show goes on, so to speak. But I'll toy with it and check it out. It's something I really want to do and that I've been thinking about for a while. But anyway, aside from the channel, let's get into pretty much my move down here. I really wanted to talk about that. College down here I'm at Baylor University, for those of you that didn't know, here in Waco, Texas. It's been quite a different experience for me. In my other years of going to school, I've never actually stayed on a campus before. I've always, just either commuted or, I really don't know any other way commuted, but I've always commuted. I've never lived on campus. I've lived close to campus before, but never on. And it's a different experience all in itself when you really think about it. It's more convenient in some ways. In other ways, it's also a little bit harder for me. Granted, the living on campus is so much easier in terms of getting to class, because when you're a commuter, for those commuters out there that know what I'm talking about, you're always like, I have to leave at this time or I'm not going to be on time. You know what I mean? And just knowing the layout of the parking lot and how long it's going to take you to find a spot, you're like, oh my God, this is going to be hell for me. But when you're living here, it's easy. You still got to leave by a certain time, granted, but it's easier than, fumbling around in a parking lot and, doing all this, other stuff, getting angry and having to run to class and all this other stuff. Definitely a lot more simpler. And I think that it's also a lot simpler in terms of resources, because when you're here, you're surrounded by everything you could ask for. You're surrounded by, the library and different things in terms of help, your professors, just the school environment in itself. There's always help somewhere. And it's a lot easier to access that when you're here all the time. And I think when you're a commuter, there's definitely, a time and place, for you to go get help, but it's a lot harder because you have to, make an appointment and stick to that. And, I got to either leave and come back, or I got to stay here for, however much amount of time, where when you're here, it's just like, boom, there it is, And so overall, it's been okay. So far, I still have yet to make a few friends, but I have joined a few clubs that the meetings I believe I'm going to, or next week is the first events for each. So I'm pretty excited about that. There's also a Starbucks within a 10-minute walk of me. And oh my God, is that the most wonderful thing in the world? I'm a huge lover of coffee. I love me some just normal average coffee. But speaking of which, I need a little bit to refuel myself. But yeah, I could not ask for something more wonderful than that. It's fantastic, and just walking in there every time, just that Starbucks smell, for those people that know what I'm talking about, it's a pretty awesome thing. Not only that, there's also restaurants here on campus too. A bunch of gymnasiums, a couple gyms they have here. They have a good running route around the campus too, and the campus itself is just beautiful. Like it's the architecture for each building is so nice, and I love that. I love looking at different architecture. Personally, some of my favorite architecture is the Gothic era of architecture, when they were building a lot of different cathedrals. If you haven't looked at any, look them up. They're really beautiful and interesting. But here, I mean, it's not like that, obviously, but it's still nonetheless, beautiful architecture here, and I really appreciate that the campus itself is so well taken care of, and just really nice. And plus, it's really quiet. Like, it's super relaxed. And coming from Illinois, from Chicago and Rockford area, it's really it's everyone wants to be somewhere. Everyone has to be somewhere now, and immediately, and everyone always wants to go nowhere fast, and it always seems like everyone's always in a rush all the time. Gotta go now. We're here. It's like, it's super laid back. Like, it's a very relaxed feel, and it's nice to feel that and to be a part of that, because it doesn't give you a feeling of such like I gotta do this now and then go there fast. I can take my time and not freak out about it. And I think that's one thing that this semester is different from all others, is that I'm more relaxed. I'm not as freaking out about his assignments as I used to. I'm not oh my god, I got all this stuff I gotta do at once type thing. I'm more relaxed here, and I'm getting everything done on my time and doing it well, whereas just rushing it and doing it now and 100 different things at once, people just seem to be more understanding, if that makes sense. I mean, granted, they could just be the professors that I have too, but so far it's going pretty well. It's different from home. I'm not saying I don't miss everybody from home. I definitely do. I miss all you guys. So, sending much love all your guys' way, and I know when I can come back out, I will. But yeah, it's nice, and living on my own too. It's the first time I've ever been on my own. Here on campus. I live in a apartment. It's still under the school living, one of the living choices. So it's weird. It's like it's a dorm building, but I live in an apartment. So it's pretty cool. I have a whole kitchen and everything. So I cook every day. I grocery shop. I have to keep my house clean, which I do. And it's given me a better understanding of just kind of being independent. And shout out to my mom, because cooking itself, you have to make time for, and I feel like a lot of people don't do that nowadays. It's all just let's just go get food, or let's go eat out. A lot of people don't sit down and cook, and granted, it takes a lot of time to put aside. I can put aside a half hour, 45 minutes to an hour sometimes to cook, and that's just me, cooking up by myself, and I can't imagine how my mom felt, cooking for, I don't know, 3 kids. So, I definitely understand her way better now than I did when I was a kid. But I like it. I love it. I love every aspect of it. Every aspect of the struggle of it, and grocery shopping, and having to do things my way, and I have to make time for them. I love it because it just gives you this sense of independency, and this sense of a better understanding of how to be an adult. And I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for my parents, who taught me those values of be a good person, and this is how you have to be as an adult, and you got to learn those things. And even understanding these hardships helps me understand their teachings even more. So thank you guys for that. Another thing I want to talk about in terms of college is my roommates or my apartment mates, rather. I have 2. Not gonna say their names, but they're definitely an interesting bunch. if I could say that. One of them is great. He's a good friend, and we've kind of gotten real close, and we do things together, and we go places, hang out, go get lunch. We both have similar interests too, so that's great. The other one, not so much. He's still a good person and a good guy. Just gonna take some getting used to. I guess I've never lived with someone who's not like me, or isn't used to me, and I'm not used to them. So it's definitely a different aspect of learning when you have to learn to live with someone that's not like you. And it's just gonna take some getting used to. That's all I gotta say about that. But anyway, one of the last things I want to talk about actually is looking forward to the year's end, in terms of movies. Like I said, I really love movies and just different things in general that I want to do with the channel. Also, more in terms of the games I want to play. We already discussed, different things I want to do. But I just saw it recently, and it's fantastic. I love it. For those of you that have seen it, I hope you loved it just as much as I did. A lot of things I've been seeing is people are like, with this reimagining of it as a movie. First of all, let's get it straight. The first It that was released with Tim Curry as Pennywise was not a movie adaptation. It was a miniseries on TV that was kind of put into a movie form later. But it didn't start like that. It wasn't a theatrical release. It was a miniseries that was released on TV over the span of like a week, I think. And that's how it was. So with people saying like, "Oh, this is the second, theatrical release we have of it." No, this is the first theatrical rendition we have of it from a theatrical aspect with the theater budget, not a TV budget, nor on TV. So I just wanted to get that straight first. Second, I loved it. I loved the creepiness of it and the scares that it had, and Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. He's just great, and that devilish smile that he has is perfect. And I also loved the Losers Club. Everyone who was a part of that was great, and the I think what's his name, Finn Wolfhard, I think, from Stranger Things is his name. Oh man, he was hilarious. Made me laugh so hard throughout the whole movie, and I enjoyed the kids' dynamic. It was a lot of fun to watch them grow and to be in the movie together, and to see that come together in a movie was great. It really is. I've heard people describing it kind of like the Goonies meets horror or Stephen King, and it really is like that. It's like the Goonies meets whatever scare you want to put it in there. I don't know who or what I would compare it to, but it really is like that. And it's a really fun film. It's not super horrific or super scary. Granted, if you don't like clowns or getting scared, definitely is gonna get you. But the scares that they have in it, man, are they some of the most interesting scares that I have seen in a horror movie so far. And I like that about 2017 in general. Like, a lot of the horror movies that have been coming out of 2017 have been great. You've had your Annabelle creation, which I saw too, which I actually really enjoyed. It was good. Get Out was good. Don't Breathe was good. And you might argue that those are more, horror thriller, but horror nonetheless. And man, the horror movies this year have just been hitting it and doing really well. So I'm glad that that's kind of being revitalized in a sense. With even most of them with Blumhouse, they're doing a great job over there. And but anyway, back to it. As I said, it's a wonderful movie. The scares are great. It's really has a huge creep factor to it, and just the clown of Pennywise in this movie is just so creepy, and just the things that that they get you with, and that cold, oh my god, that cold open at the beginning of the movie. For those that have seen it, man, is that pretty intense, huh? But I really did enjoy it. I loved it a lot. And for later on for this year, the movies that I am looking forward to, I can't tell you if there's even a week of movies that are coming out that I am not looking forward to. In a couple weeks here, we got Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which if you haven't seen the first Kingsman, do yourself a favor and go see it. It is great. It's actually based off a comic book called The Secret Service. It's not called Kingsman: The Secret Service. It's just called The Secret Service. Man, the first one is awesome. I mean, for those of you that have seen it, that church scene alone, my God, that stole the whole movie. And I'm really interested to see how they're going to one-up that in this one. But, you got Channing Tatum and Jeff Bridges as the statesman, which is, the Kingsman, but here in America. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that dynamic plays out. And then just the whole movie itself looks really good. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the second Kingsman. After that, there is, what do we got here? Man, there's so many. You got Justice League coming out, which I'm interested in because with the whole Zack Snyder and Josh Whedon drama that's gone down. For those of you that don't know, the short rundown is that Zack Snyder, who's the original director of the Justice League, he directed, I think, more than half the film and wrote a lot of it, shot a lot of it, but then he dropped out of being director due to some personal family issues. And after that, Josh Whedon came on to direct, and he was only supposed to do direct just like pickups and add short things here and there when they went in for reshoots, which every movie has reshoots to pick up on a few things. But he kind of stepped in as a second main director after Zack Snyder dropped out, and it's being argued kind of if who's going to get directing credit on a movie because with the whole rules of the DGA, the Directors Guild of America, there can only be one director on a movie, so it's kind of being argued like, who directed more of the movie? Did Zack Snyder direct more of it? Did Josh Whedon direct more of it? How's the tone going to play out? How's the storyline going to play out? Because of these two different aspects of the movie. And, I'm really interested to see it. I'm really just interested to see The Flash for the first time on TV. And, man, does Jason Momoa look great as Aquaman. And, I mean, my girl Gal Gadot, or Gadot, one of those two. I'm sorry for those of you that, I'm pronouncing it wrong. Don't attack me. But her as Wonder Woman is just great, too. And, contrary to popular belief, I actually really like Ben Affleck as Batman. I really do. And BVS... granted, that wasn't a great film. I'm just gonna put that out there, but Ben Affleck was the best part of that movie. I mean, the Batman parts of that movie, in my opinion, were the only parts that had a plot, B had motives, and C was just good. Like, and him as Batman was awesome, especially if you've read The Dark Knight Returns. And seeing him from that aspect, man, was he good, and I like that, and just the build of him. My God, that guy got huge for Batman. So. Anyway, that's one of the other ones I'm looking forward to. Thor Ragnarok. Oh my God, I could not tell you more things about Thor Ragnarok. We'd be here all day if I was going to tell you about that movie. But it's like it's just like Jack Kirby just threw up on a movie, and this is what came out. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to see the Easter eggs they have in there. Team Thor. Oh my God, it looks real good. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to be. In terms of other movies that are coming out that I like, of course, when you go into December, way late into the year, you got Star Wars, The Last Jedi. I think it's called The Last Jedi, which I'm really excited about. I'm excited and I'm really interested because with the last one, what was it called? The Force Awakens. There was a lot of speculation in terms of like, who Rey's parents are, what's the significance of Kylo, like, or where does Kylo go from here? What's going to happen to Luke? Unfortunately, you've had the passing of Carrie Fisher, so, rest in peace, Princess Leia. But seeing her character and how that's going to develop through this one into the 9th film. And just there's a lot of questions. I actually really like Kylo Ren. I feel like he's a very complex Sith. In my opinion, like he's a Sith that wants to be dark and is fighting off the light, but still feels it. And for me, that's very interesting to see that because even in The Force Awakens, when you're watching that last battle with him and Rey, like spoiler alert for those of you that haven't seen The Force Awakens, granted it's been out for now, when he kills Han Solo, that kind of drives that light from him, that final light. He even says that, I can't do this, alone. Can you help me? And, he kills him and he says, yes. And, that kind of drives the light from Kylo. And it's cool if you pay attention in that shot, there's a light and a blue aspect to Han and a dark red light hue to Kylo. And in the scene, it's kind of cut 50-50 in the whole screen. But then once Han dies, that whole red just takes over. And it's just super menacing. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. But just the way that scene was shot, man, was that powerful. And I don't know. I think even after killing Han, like Kylo still has light in him. Like even in that final battle, like I was saying, when he fights Rey and he has that wound, he's just beating himself on that wound throughout the whole battle. And, if you're familiar with, Star Wars, when people, the dark side is, sadness and in pain and what is it, and doubt and loss and just all these dark, horrible feelings just manifesting to make you a Sith Lord. And hitting himself is just feeling that pain, giving him more power throughout the battle. And he's just very complex to me, and I like that he's a complex villain in my opinion. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So that's enough ranting about Star Wars. I could do a whole nerd podcast. I mean, hey, maybe I will. But that's kind of how I feel about that. I'm also interested in some Oscar bait movies that are coming out too, like for example, The Shape of Water is coming out. It's directed by Guillermo del Toro. I forget the month it's coming out. I want to say in November, but I'm not sure. Anyway, for those of you that don't know, later on in the year, toward what we're getting into, like October, November, December, a lot of Oscar releases come out. Oscar contenders, I should say. And I look forward to that time because it's a lot of original content. It's a lot of great acting and a lot of good storylines that are put out. And supposedly, from what I've been hearing from a few movie podcasts that I watch, like Collider Video, as well as The Wrap and Screen Rant, and just different Rotten Tomatoes, like different things like that, have been saying that The Shape of Water is really, really good. And it's probably one of Guillermo del Toro's, one of his best works. That's what I've heard, at least. So I'm really excited. The storyline's a little weird for those of you that kind of might look at it and be like, "What is this? This is strange." I get it; it is strange, but at the same time, I think it's kind of a refreshing tale to tell, and it's very interesting. So that's coming out, that I'm excited for, and that's kind of the big Oscar movie that I really want to see. There's another one coming out too. Oh man, I forgot what it was called. It's the new movie that just came out not that long ago. It has Jeremy Renner in it, and I think her name's Caitlin Olsen, the girl who plays Scarlet Witch in the Marvel movies. It has the same director from Hell or High Water and Sicario. Man, I forgot what it was. I forgot what it's called. But anyway, I want to see that movie too. Looks really good. And there's just a bunch of other ones that I want to see too. I could name off a huge long list, but I just don't got the time for that. But so yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to for the rest of the year. In terms of the channel and playing games for the rest of the year, there's quite a few that I want to play. And that is first and foremost, I really want to play The Evil Within 2 when it comes out. That is one thing I am really excited to play, because the first one was, oh my god, for me it was so much fun, and I love playing horror games. I really do. I don't know why. That's like one of the things that I love to do, is just play horror games. But for me, when I play, I love to play in the dark and with headphones in, just alone, and just putting myself into that world and immersing myself into the game. I love doing that. It just gives you such a fun feeling of not fear, but just the creep factor. It's just like, just being scared and just being alone in the dark and hearing around, and I can't really describe it. You just gotta play it. It just gives you this weird feeling when you're playing this game, like I'm being watched right now, or like, oh man, this is creepy. And that's how I love to play horror games, is in that kind of immersed aspect to me. So that one I really want to play. That's probably one of the biggest ones I'm looking forward to, is The Evil Within 2, and just where they take the story from here also is what I'm interested to see. For those of you that have played the first one, the second one I'm really interested to play, of course, like I said earlier, is Assassin's Creed Origins. Assassin's Creed, or at least Ubisoft. I know in the past couple of years, once the Black Flag, when Black Flag came out, they're like, hey, we're kind of a popular franchise. Let's just start funneling games out like no tomorrow. And we got, Assassin's Creed Rogue, Syndicate. What was the third one we got? I can't even remember. I know Rogue came out, Syndicate, the one that took place during the French Revolution that nobody really liked. I can't even remember the name of the game. That's saying something. We got all those. We got a bunch of handheld ones, and it just, oh my god, I feel like they just rushed so many games and just was like, let's just throw all these out and see how that goes. And granted, you had a stinker, a good one, and a middle one, and the stinker being the one of the French Revolution, the good one being Rogue, and the okay one being Syndicate. So, and then I took a break for a while, and I'm interested to see how Origins is going to play out. Supposedly it's the biggest map that they have, that they're going to have, and it's also has different gameplay aspects. I guess that the developers have said that the gameplay is going to be more of a non-restrictive, different type of gameplay, and that the traveling is going to be easier. Than God, because traveling in Assassin's Creed, if you don't have waypoints synced, oh my God, it's horrible. You're just running everywhere. And so I hope the travel system is a little bit more fixed. But I'm really interested to play those two. Those are the two big ones that I really want to play. And also just I know it's a game that's already come out, but Injustice 2. I'm a big fan of fighters. I love NetherRealm and everything they put out. I love Mortal Kombat to pieces, and I love the Injustice games to death. Me and Valken, or my friend Josh, we when I was living back home, we just played fighters nonstop all the time, and always who was a better one. And granted, I would win, here and there a handful of times, but most of the time, let's not get it twisted. I would get my butt kicked a lot, and because Josh is probably one of the best people I've played in fighters, and before I met him, I hadn't met anyone of his skill level in playing fighters. And when he plays, he just learns and adapts to the character so well, and it's like he could play the character for an hour, and he just is already a master at the technique of that character. It's amazing watching him play any fighter. He's really smart in his choices, and when it comes to that old saying of play smart, don't play reckless, play smart. That's Josh. Josh plays very smart when it comes to the games like that, or any game in particular. Very smart player. But in terms of Injustice 2, the DLCs keep getting released for them, which I'm excited about. I bought the edition where I get all the DLCs for free. And I know Manta just came out, and I've played Manta a handful of times, and my God, is he fun. Manta's a lot of fun. The combos you can do with him are great, and he's just a fun character to play. So I'm really interested to see the DLCs after Manta. I know Starfire's come out, who I really haven't played much, so I'm really interested to play her. I know Sub-Zero was the second one that came out, and a lot of people play Sub-Zero. I haven't really gotten a chance to sit down and master him yet. So, but I mean, I don't think he's that much different from from MK10. Sorry. So, he'll be kind of easier to learn. Red Hood, I want to learn more with him. He's a good character to play as. He's fun, but you need abilities to unlock some of his abilities in order for him to be a little more of a straightforward, flowing character, if that makes sense. At least in my opinion, to play him as. And granted, I like his character power, but I wish that it maybe was a little different. Now I know why they made his character power the way they is, just for more combo use, but I still wish he was a little more of a free-flowing character to play. But anyway, with Fighter Pack 2, like I said, Manta was just released, and he's fun. I'm guessing that the second character they're going to release from Fighter Pack 2 is going to be Raiden from the Mortal Kombat series. Now, in this game, that gives us two Mortal Kombat characters in Sub and in Raiden. A lot of people have been having some backlash to Raiden because, it's like, oh, it's just a DC game with, a butt ton of guest characters, and we shouldn't have two Mortal Kombat characters, even though NetherRealm, the people that make Mortal Kombat, made this game. And, as well as the first one, we had Scorpion. But, honestly, I'm not too against Raiden. Attack me, oh my God, have shock, whatever. I'm really not, though. I'm not against Raiden being in this game, because to me, Mortal Kombat and DC together make sense. Because in Mortal Kombat, you have, different realms. You have Earth realm, another realm, and the gods and all this other stuff. And hell and all this, and it makes sense because from DC's aspect, you have the multiverse. Different Earths, different things, and each Earth has different, the same heroes, but they're different, or just different heroes in general. And there's a multitude of multi-Earths and a multitude of realms in Mortal Kombat. So, why couldn't they coexist? Why wouldn't they coexist? Is my thing. Like seeing Sub-Zero and Batman together just makes me think like this makes sense. Because for me, like, in retrospect, if you put, for example, the League of Assassins in Batman and the Lin Kuei in Mortal Kombat, it's like the same. It's like the same thing. They're these ninjas that have this way of living, and that's how they fight. The Lin Kuei is the League of Assassins. Like that's the way that I see it, and it just makes sense to me because plus you have these characters in DC Universe that are also weird. Like you have the Demon, you have Swamp Thing, you have your Constantines and Zatannas and other more demonic, just weird characters. And essentially, I mean, not only that, now that with the Watchmen crossover that they have now with DC, which where the Watchmen universe is now part of the official canon DC universe, is not just an offshoot anymore. Now you have Dr. Manhattan, who's basically a god. And, you have, Rorschach, who's kind of like the Question, but more violent, and Night Owl, who's kind of like Batman. So why wouldn't Mortal Kombat not work in the DC universe, like mixing together? It's like, to me, it makes sense. And that's why Raiden in the game, to me, makes sense, too, because I don't have such a big gripe with Raiden. Like, sure, I don't like playing him as a character, but a lot of people love Raiden. A lot of people do. And, that's fine with me. I mean, if you're going to bring a title character over, bring in Raiden. And I personally would have preferred Johnny Cage, to be quite honest. I feel like his banter with all the characters would have been great. And just, giving him the different gear you could have and the different, voice lines he could have with the people and different colors you can put on him. I think it would have opened up a lot of potential for Johnny. But I mean, then again, Raiden from a gear aspect would have worked more, and just his dialogue, I think, among the multitude of multiverses and different Earths would work with him better. And the character design for Raiden is okay. I mean, it's different. It's a different departure. He has an open chest and different hat. He has on like a face mask, kind of like Superman does, and or a cowl, I should say. And most people don't like it, but I mean, they gave Sub-Zero a cape in this game. I mean, granted, it's a superhero game, so why not design some of the Mortal Kombat characters in a superhero aspect, And honestly, the cape in Sub-Zero works. Like, in my opinion, I like it. For Raiden, I mean, sure, he's bare-chested and has a different rice hat, but I mean, why does it matter? It's a superhero design, and with the gear, you're gonna be able to change it. So it's like, why complain about it? But I also do think that they might give him a Black Lightning, but I would prefer him to have a Static Shock Premier skin. So we'll see how that comes about. And I know the final fighter for that is Hellboy, and it's interesting because his character design is different than the Injustice design. But I like it because it's very true to how he's depicted in the Dark Horse comic books. And I like that. I like how his art style is still the same from his comic. And I'm really interested to see what kind of designs they're going to give him for his gear and what his, different color palette is going to be. I'm really excited for that. And I'm glad that they put, even though he's from a different comic brand, a comic character in the DC game. Like, that's cool, in my opinion. Like, that's pretty kick-ass. And, you have, your Mortal Kombat, but I mean, that's just from another realm aspect. Doesn't matter. So I'm really interested to see who Fighter Pack 3 is going to be. But I say Injustice 2, like I said, there's another game I'm looking forward to playing too, because it's just more content is coming out for it, and that for me is really interesting. It changes the game, and same thing for Overwatch. They keep coming out with different characters and different buffs and nerfs to the PTR, so it's always changing the meta. But I could get into a whole meta discussion in its own right, for another hour. But anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end it here today. So thank you so much for joining me on the Nobody Podcast. I might put out another one of these soon with different topics. If you want to see me discuss a topic or even have a question for me to discuss, write me down in the comments, message me. I have a Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, here on YouTube. So, contact me in any way that you can or any way you want. But I'm here, so let me know what you want to hear me discuss. I'll come up with some ideas too, and probably put out another one of these. I actually like doing this, so I think I'm gonna continue doing these for at least a little bit. But thank you guys so much for watching today, and I will see you guys all in the next adventure. Bye, guys.